Hey guys, and welcome. Today we're going to be going through and explaining the story of Dead Island 2 and walking through the storyline completely from start to finish. I quite enjoyed my time playing through the game, around 10 hours of pure story progression, dying a million times and just destroying zombies the entire time. It was an absolute blast. These videos are created by myself with the goal of allowing those who don't really want to rather spend the money on the game, don't like these types of games, or just want to have something to listen to in the background and chill, but still experience the story like the rest of us would playing through the game. That's why they're slightly longer and more in depth of going from start to finish. But also, if anyone wasn't too sure on what the story actually meant or to understand it in a way, this is a good way of clearing that up and to going through and explaining it that way. But leave a like on today's video if you want to enjoy. Subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel as well for plenty more content coming in terms of story related content and other things along those lines as well. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. Dead Island 2 begins showing us the current state of Los Angeles and introducing all of the characters that you have a choice of playing as going into the game. A woman running from a horde of zombies into a military base, cutting to a fireman trying his best to throw everything out of his packed suitcase to find a keyring that he thought he'd lost that was given to him by his brother. Multiple people brought tickets to get out of LA, with them finally taking off and getting ready to be infected free. And then to eventually realise that actually there was someone infected on the plane right behind this woman. The celebrations were short-lived and the plane subsequently was shot down by the military just as Mr. Who Do You Voodoo Bitch comes on screen. Nice little Easter egg there from the first game. We wake a short time later on the plane, blood covering the walls, and there being very few survivors. We had a piece of metal debris lodged in our stomach, so we removed it, and we patch ourselves up before making our way off the plane. As we get outside, everything has just turned to shit completely. The fuel from the plane covered the Hollywood Hills, and well, it's just made everything way harder to see and to navigate. However, we hear talking in the distance, and it sparks our attention. As we walk through the downed plane, we meet some new people. Michael, Emma, and Ronnie. Emma gives us her address based in the Hollywood Hills in case we ran into any trouble, and they made their way back home. We, however, stayed behind to try and help out a trapped survivor, but got bitten in the process on the arm, and fell unconscious a short time later. We eventually woke up in the driveway of a house in somewhere in Bel Air. Emma gave us her address back when we'd seen her at the plane, so the plan is to find a house and hopefully have a place to hold up away from the zombies. We finally make our way there and they open the gate for us. However, we didn't get a very warm welcome, especially after we shown them that we were bitten on the arm.
Is that?
I'm having a really fucking bad day, Michael.
Get away from this house! You
Wait, what are you doing? Give me the gun!
No!
We eventually become very lightheaded and pass out on the floor of Emma's house. We wake a short time later handcuffed to a treadmill. Emma tells us that she can't trust us right now just in case we do turn. But the bite on our arm, it's healing? Why haven't we turned yet? Suddenly we hear screams from Michael. The zombies are surrounding the house and we want to help. We ask Emma to let us out of the cuffs. However, she didn't have to because, well, they were toy cuffs. Literally press a button and they open. So that was brilliant. We go outside and clear the zombies. And as we're having a celebratory drink, in comes Mr. Who Do You Voodoo Bitch himself, Sam B. Sam tells us that he's been through this all before during another time. Dead Island 1, of course. Sam is also immune to this infection, but he's not the only one. Because we seemingly are too. We are shocked by this news, by the way, and pretty ecstatic, as you can hear by the nature of the voice.
I'm immune!
However, the first thing that we want to do is speak with someone about this. We need to try and find a doctor, right? Someone to create a cure. One that can end all of this mess once and for all. So we walk upstairs and speak with Sam B to see what he thinks that we should do as well, considering he's also immune. We tell Sam that we need to tell the authorities that we're immune. However, Sam just doesn't want to do this. He thinks we'll be dissected, used as lab rats, and subsequently killed because of it. He wants to wait at Emma's house and wait it out as she has 6 months worth of food left in her basement. However, we just can't do this. We have a personal goal to get home to our brother. We were only meant to be gone for a couple of days. We can't stay here forever. Tell the authorities so that someone can come and stop this. So we gear up and make our way out into LA. The first place we set off to is a military outpost which is situated in a hotel downtown. We find a radio on the side of a table, and when we speak into it, someone named Dr. Reed responds.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I hear you. I'm Dr. Reed. Did you hear my message? Where are you?
I'm Ryan, in Bel Air. I'm trying to contact the authorities.
Well, you sort of have. I'm part of the CDC team in LA. I was anyway. Are you, do you think you might be infected?
No, the opposite, actually. I was bitten, and yeah, I thought I was fucked, but I got better.
You got bit? Oh my God.
Looks like I'm immune.
We explain the current situation, that we're immune and that we're trying to help, and he's astounded. He was a scientist for the CDC, however, mid-conversation, what the hell is that?
I gotta go, I'll be in touch.
Hey, wait! I need you! You have to get here! Hello? Hello? Okay? You have to get it! Can you hear me?
Bachelorette party from hell.
We defeated the beautiful bride-to-be and radioed back to Dr. Reed. He tells us that we need to get to his research facility in Santa Monica, as it's there that we can really help create this cure. We then return back to Emma's place to tell everyone of the news and where we're planning on going, trying to persuade everyone, and Sam as well, to come with us. However, this was short-lived, because Michael was missing. He'd left to the Hollywood Hills and went back to his own house. However, when we got to his home, he was already long gone. We track him down finally at a movie set where Emma was filming her latest role, and he returned there to obtain Emma's lucky omen, a trophy. Michael returns home to Emma's house after we'd found him and told him to go home, and Sam B tells us that he'd found a stash of guns somewhere that we could go and steal. We eventually get there and meet Sam B in this house, and we tell him about Dr. Reed, that he needs our blood to create a vaccine. Sam, again, with the experience from the last time, was very skeptical. So we all return home to Emma's place, Sam again refusing to come with us, and Michael, well, seemingly got back safe, until he showed us this.
Oh my gosh.
We got to deal with this right now.
Don't touch him. Go check on Andrea, see if she's okay.
Dad, this ain't no game, Emma. You know what's gonna happen to him. The same thing that happens to all of them. Now let me...
This is my house. It is my rules, Sam. Go.
If he so much as twitches funny, you know what you've got to do.
Now, the reason this hit Emma so hard is because Michael has always been by her side. He'd do anything for her and her best interest, like collecting this trophy from her trailer in this movie set. Emma was gutted that he was bitten and potentially going to die, and very upset when we had no choice but to kill him. Emma, still feeling very raw around the situation, kicks us out of the house for killing zombie Michael, even though he had turned. We didn't argue with the fact that we'd been kicked out and just decided to leave and head straight for Santa Monica, as ultimately that's what we needed to do anyway, and tried to meet with Dr. Reed there. However, there was no way of reaching Santa Monica above ground. There was blockages and just too many zombies in the way. So Sam mentioned that whenever he had to traverse Banoi, he used the sewers. Here it might not be the safest option as compared to what was like in Banoi. However, it would be a good way and a quicker way than going above ground, cutting out the blockages and the more things along those lines. So that's exactly what we tried to do. We fend off the zombies guarding the sewer entrance, and we make our way further in. But what the hell is that?
Come on. Hello? Hey, buddy, you okay? Oh, Jesus Hey,
Quick, get inside!
nice. I was not expecting that.
I had a few tricks up my sleeve. Oh, I'm Pat.
Ryan, I owe you, Patton.
Here we meet someone named Patton. He was an ex-war hero from the Gulf War, and he was a helicopter pilot. And he'd been down here in the sewers since, for years, over 20 years, even before the outbreak. During the war, his helicopter was set alight and shot down, and the whole side of his face was completely burnt to a crisp. People didn't like the look of his face, and because of that, he decided just to stay out of the public eye and live in the sewers. Pretty sad, really. But Patton loves movies, and his favourite, from a famous actor named Emma Jaunt, the lady who we were just living with, which would be useful further on down the line into the story. We asked Patton if he knows the way to Santa Monica, and if we can get there from here. He tells us to follow the signs for the Venice Storm tank, so that's exactly what we do. Throughout our journey, we radio back to Dr. Reed. We tell him that as we're walking through the sewers, all of the melted flesh from above, the remains of the zombies, the chemicals we've seen around the world and the sewers, it looks to be growing and alive. This infection isn't just on zombies, it's also growths underground, growing into something just huge. We tell him we'll be back in touch when we get above ground. However, when we leave this room, we come across a metal bridge. As we start walking across it, it begins to break down and fall. However, before it does completely shatter, we see a woman standing in front of us. This woman is named Conrad. She tells us that she's been looking for us, and that she knows us more than what we realise, even though we've never met her before. Throughout the conversation, we feel a pulsation going through our body, and as we turn around, 2 more people are standing there as well. We tell Conrad that we're immune, and that we're trying to speak with Dr. Reed to create a cure. However, Conrad tells us that we're not looking at the bigger picture, and that she has to help us let go. They break the bridge, sending us flying down below, and we turn into a zombie, smashing through all of the zombies below. We break out of this phase, but what the hell had just happened? Wouldn't it be ideal if our character could just Google the answers there and then? Well, isn't he lucky that I've partnered with Apex Gaming PCs and can give them an amazing discount on a new system? All built to run your new single player and multiplayer games like a complete dream. From the mid-tier build, the specialist rig, to the more high-end performance builds, the elite rig and the giga rig. There is seriously a build here for any type of gamer. If you use code Wizzo at checkout, you can save up to $250 off your entire order as well, and I'll even throw in a tiny incentive there for the first few that order using my link and code below. $50 back for the first few that order the specialist rig, $100 for the elite rig, and $150 back for the giga rig to help with any peripherals or setup upgrades that you might want when ordering a new PC. So links below in the description. Thank you. We don't really question too much at what had just happened. We're more concerned around getting the hell out of here. And finally, we reach Santa Monica. We help out a group that are held up in a cafe by clearing some zombies, and inside we meet a bunch of new people. The chef, Kai, the stoner, Trent, the biker boy, Bud, and Alex, the gym lad. We're looking for the Serling Hotel. However, Bud tells us that the whole area was militarised, and there's miles of fences, razor wires, checkpoints, and pits full of zombies. So it will take a big task to get through, especially single-handedly. Not to mention the amount of zombies in there will be a massive task to try and overcome. It turns out the Zompocalypse kicked off the same week as the Strongman competition, which is why there are so many roided monsters all over LA, so I love the lore entry as to why that's there. However, before Bud could say another word, oh my god, there's one of the roided zombies. We eventually get a radio from Emma and tells us that she's sorry for kicking us out essentially, but we're not going to be back anytime soon. as we had a goal to achieve. We push forward into the military compound, and here we see it's just a slaughter fest. Bodies everywhere, blood smothering the sand and the walls. Eventually though, we do make it through to Ocean Avenue. We find the hotel we're looking for, the Serling Hotel, and make our way to the top, where we find a safe house and Dr. Reed. Dr. Reed tells us that we can't tell anyone why we're here. The CDC will be very interested, and if they are going to send a chopper to pick us up and take us to Colorado, where all the tests will be done and things like that, then we don't want to get anyone's hopes up. One, for there being a cure, and two, that if there's a chopper coming out of nowhere, they may think that it's the military or something like that, so we have to be very, very low key. Reed exclaims that if we do get to Colorado, humanity might have a chance of surviving. Before we could ask when the chopper arrives or any more questions, Reed's daughter Tisha walks into the room. She exclaims that there's no more food left in this building at all, and they need to loot a bunch of apartments. However, Reed is very against Tisha going out. And yeah, it's all got a bit heated there and then. Anyway, it all died down a short time later, and whilst Reed radioed to the CDC, we decided to go and get some rest. We wake up a short time later and go back to see Dr. Reed. He says that the CDC isn't calling the shots anymore, and they won't extract us unless they have proof of immunity. The only way to do that is by visiting one of the labs in the Santa Monica Pier and using Dr. Reed's equipment to test our blood. When we get there though, we push through one of the tents. Here we can see notes on multiple whiteboards, mentions of something called an autophage, 1 million zombies and bodies unaccounted for, what to look out for relating to symptoms, and much more. It's actually quite mental. Anyway, we find the lab with a blood testing machine and stick our arm inside it and wait for the results to come back. The machine takes a sample of our blood and deposits a sample to the left of it. We collect it, and now we need to find the blood drive. The blood drive is a PC which basically gives all the information on the blood and the sample and stuff like that. This was last located at the end of the pier on Santa Monica Beach, which was locked down and burnt to a crisp. And when we got there, we can see why it was locked down. What the hell is that thing?
Okay, what do we got here? You are my ticket out of here. Oh, come on. Seriously? This fucking funny fucker again? No! Oh, man. Come on. Come on. You motherfucker! No, no, no! Get off me! Get off me! Hey, such extra bitch!
We find the blood drive and just get the hell out of there, man. We return back to the safe house and sat with Dr. Reed. With Conrad? We're shocked that they know each other, but also skeptical that Reed seemed very edgy that we were both in the same room as each other. Dr. Reed tells us that in the past they both did some research together, but Conrad tells us it was a little bit more than that. She was essentially his test subject. She didn't say that, but that's what she was hinting towards. And from when we first met her, she knew exactly what we were going through. Almost like she was immune too. Reed was notified that his daughter had left to search for supplies, when he specifically told her not to. It will take a while for our blood tests to be tested anyway and to come back, so Reed asked if we can go out and look for her. Reed is very protective of his daughter, as her mother died a while ago, and of course his wife. He's not just concerned, but he's very nervous that she's left. More on this later. We'll look around the area and find Tisha held up in an apartment complex just north of the hotel with some of her friends. We advised to Tisha that her father was worried, but also take the time to ask her a couple of questions about her dad. It feels like there's stuff Reed isn't telling us, and now he's meeting with the woman that tried to kill us? What's that all about? It turns out that this is Tisha's auntie Lola. and she's a bit strange. We make a deal with Tisha there and then. We both want to know what's going on with Reed, so if she gives us a straight line to Conrad, then we tell her everything that we find out about Reed. Tisha tells us about a device called a scope, which are dotted around the world. This is how Tisha and Conrad communicate together if they ever need to. So we make our way down to the scope store and speak into the device using a code that Tisha told us to speak into it. And what we heard was a little bit mental.
Meaning last.
Look, that don't mean jack to me. Conrad. Lola Conrad. I want to talk to her.
Hey, I'm Dr. Reed, but you can call me Ruben. Noah, they told me there's something in my blood that... Yeah, shh. Let's keep your specialness just between us for now, okay? Okay, sure. But it's about a cure? If our preliminary results are right, then you have a miracle in your blood. Now that we found you, humanity stands a chance. Cool. So, what happens to me? You just take some blood, or... We need to get you to our lab on Ocean Avenue. We have the equipment there, and answers to all your questions, I promise. Okay, you're the doctor.
There was another immune guy before me. What happened to him?
Zephron, it didn't work. The levels spiked again. Fried the whole rig.
Not ideal. And our friend Noah?
We need a new candidate.
The same thing that Reed had told us when we first radioed to him. He has a secret lab on Ocean Avenue, and there is where he tests on multiple subjects, potentially even Conrad. This subject was called Noah, but he didn't make it through the tests. We need to find his lab, so we search around and come across a building, and inside is Noah. After a long drawn out battle, we finally take out Noah, and we're still in a stage of rage. In walks Tisha as we're like this, and we pounce on top of her, trying to smack her and just beat her up there and then. She manages to get us off by stabbing us in the chest. She then gets back up and continuously tries to hit us, and whilst finishing us off with a boot into the face. We wake a short time later with Conrad leaning over us, saving our life. Here, she tells us that what we essentially did was die and come back to life. She stayed with us until we were fully reborn and back on our feet. Here it's confirmed that all of the people around us are immune like us. They have the same gift, and they're all known as Newmans. The end point. There's a cataclysmic event coming down the line, and the rest of humanity don't stand a chance. Only the Newman can carry people through it successfully. There is no plague. There never was a plague. Ruben Reed is blinded by desperation. He's not making a cure. He can't. No one can. Humans will be taken over by the autophage, and only the Newmans can help fight back against it. This was all a lot of information coming from Conrad there and then, especially with everything that Reed had told us, so we just don't believe it. And then she says, well, go and ask Ruben yourself. So that's exactly what we do. However, when we return, he's nowhere to be seen. Ruben and Tisha both left on a chopper, not saying a word to anyone else, just leaving all of the people behind. What is he doing? We have no way to radio to Reed, so we decide to try and contact Emma Jones instead. We tell her that there's a helicopter parked on Hollywood Boulevard, and we have the perfect pilot in mind, Patton. He's a huge fan of our movies, and she is our only way of getting him to fly. So we meet them all there at the sewers to meet Patton for the very first time.
Oh, hey. Oh!
Hello?
It's a mess. Everywhere.
As soon as we mention flying to Patton, he immediately is against it. But Emma gave him the speech of a lifetime and finally persuaded him. Well, kind of.
Okay, yeah. I'll try. For you.
Thank you.
I think I remember how to fly.
We push our way through the sewers to try and make our way out to the chopper, and finally, we make our way into Hollywood Boulevard, and are immediately greeted with a bodyguard on the ground. One that had been shot in the head. And as far as I'm aware, zombies don't shoot weapons. Reed was definitely here and passed through. However, just as we forged a plan to push forward, Sam started to fall sick, weakening and laying with his back against the chopper. Sam was turning. But how? Was the autophage kicking in? Anyway, the others kept an eye on him whilst we sprint into the building to look for Reed. We make our way through a series of tunnels and corridors and even through a secret door. This is where we learn a lot, so just strap in. Dr. Reed was the one that started this outbreak. He infected the entire city, killing the majority in millions within LA. Apparently he was killing millions to save billions. Reed did this to seek out the Newmans. Only 1 in a million becomes a Newman, an autophage hybrid as he calls it. He couldn't complete the cure without the Newmans, so in order to create the cure, he had to start the outbreak. He took their bloods, ours, the Newman's bloods, and that's how he made the cure. However, here Reed tells us that the autophage isn't an illness at all. 25 years ago, Reed found a clock hidden within the human DNA. This was counting down to the day of our extinction. When it hits 0, the autophage will erupt in every man, woman and child on the planet, resulting in what we have today. Dr. Reed had to try and put a stop to it, so in order to do that, he caused the outbreak to occur early so that he could find the Newmans and conjure a cure before. Reed has sampled and created the cure, so we walk over to collect it. This can be used for one person in particular. He told us to use it on ourselves, to prevent us from seeing all of this weird things around us again, and become completely immune to the autophage. Dr. Reed tells us to get out of here. However, Tisha wants him to use it on himself, to save him, to prevent the autophage taking over his body. And here is where we learn some disturbing truths. Dr. Reed tells his daughter that he doesn't know what else he did. Dr. Reed modified an unborn baby. With the Newman's blood, she becomes the cure for the entire planet. This little container we have, well, this will be the baby's entire bloodstream. That baby, though, was Tisha, his own daughter. And that must have been the reason her mother had died as well. Dr. Reed was turning, and he became one of these things. Oh no. We finally take out Dr. Reed, and now we get the hell back to the chopper. However, Tisha was nowhere to be found. We get back and Sam was still dying near the chopper, turning even into a zombie. But rather than using this cure on ourselves, we decided to use it on him instead, to allow him to stay with Emma and go with her and protect her. We had unfinished business here in LA, and we also needed to find the cure, Tisha. So we decided to stay behind, whilst Patton, Emma and Sam all left to get the hell out of this complete mess on the chopper. However, we were being watched this entire time.
Cadenza? This song is incoherent. Decided to stay with us?
To save Tisha.
That's the only reason.
that is the story of Dead Island 2. As always, guys, if you've got this far into the video, comment down below Newmans, just so I can see how many people got to this far in the video and how many people stuck around. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the game if you've enjoyed the story and your general impressions. I'd really be interested to know. We always do these little review things at the end. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. But leave a like on the video, it'd be very much appreciated, everyone. Subscribe if you guys are brand new to the channel as well. And we'll see you all next time.